Hey there, I'm Robbie Legume, and today we're breaking into places the developers really hoped you wouldn't. See, I absolutely love the magic of Baldur's Gate 3, and I keep wondering how it's all done. So using some tools and camera mods, I'm going to... Wait, you didn't think I only play Cyberpunk 2077, did you? I have thousands and thousands of games.
Mindless consumerism wins the day again.
And I've played dozens of them. Dozens, I say. So grab your party, because we're about to venture forth on NoClip Nomad. Way back in the ancient year of 1999, back when the world feared Y2K and everyone had deeply regrettable hair, Canadian developer BioWare released Baldur's Gate. It kicked off a legacy of RPGs that would go on for decades.
Stop poking me.
Over 20 years later, developer Larian Studios, known for its Divinity series, released Baldur's Gate 3, a masterpiece of a title. So using this fantastic camera mod developed by well-known FreeCam developer Otis Inf, as well as the Baldur's Gate 3 tools released by Larian, I'm going to take a look at Baldur's Gate 3 from some perspectives you may have not seen it from before. So before we go too far, let's see what we can find in the game's main menu, which is actually its own full scene. The lovely foliage in the shot is made more picturesque by the help of tossing these trees onto their side. Heading out toward the city, I genuinely expected most of it to be flat, matte images layered over each other, but I was surprised to find that it actually is a fully modelled, low-poly city. There's volumetric lighting, detailed water shaders. Hang on, are those little animated boats? Turning the camera around, it's all modelled on this side too. But it's really kind of amazing exactly how much is fully modelled here just to make the main menu of the game look absolutely perfect. They didn't have to do this. No one would have complained, but they did it anyway. Absolute overachievement. But this is only half the menu, of course. Down below is this beautiful environment depicting some of the adventurers exploring a temple to Baal. These adventurers don't appear anywhere in the game or anything, but here's a neat little fact. The guy leading the party is modelled after Larian Studios CEO Sven Vinke. And once again, this whole area is absurdly detailed for something you're barely meant to see. Statues, light rays, the whole kit and caboodle. And just on the other side of the wall, untextured terrain maps and blank surfaces out here where you can't see it. Moving on to the character creation screen, once again featuring Cotton Candy Girl, it's also a fully modelled area. We'll find that same floating tree trick as before, and flying out a bit into the background, we can see that the clouds in the distance are just a flat projected image. And for some reason, the designers decided to use a particular image that had a very prominent jet trail right in the middle of it. In fact, it's in just the right place that you can see it in the character screen itself, and now that I've pointed out, you're never going to stop noticing it. So, you know the drill. If we turn to the left, we'll stumble across... Just out of camera view, you'll find the Dark Earth surrounded by a small gaggle of, let's call them confident gentlemen. But don't ask Baldur to gouge out your eyes or anything, because there's actually a reason for this. BG3 Tools calls these entities Origin Player 1 through 4 and Character Creation Dummy. Each of these is a copy of the player character prefab. They're all loaded in here off to the side so the game can swap between appearances instantly without stuttering or reloading assets. It's a clever solution, a very efficient solution, a solution I absolutely did not need to witness. So, moving on. Over to the side, there's a little stone gazebo that might look familiar, especially if you played the game during its beta phase in 2022, because here's where you would build your Guardian.
Who do you dream of at night?
Another interesting detail is this black globe, and if we fly into it, we'll see how the devs made this dynamic nebula cloud texture. Multiple layers of swirling clouds rotate slowly, and the resulting layered image is captured and rendered behind the Guardian in their selection screen. Speaking of the Guardian, the new backdrop here is gorgeous, like absolutely detailed for something that you only look at for a few moments. But if we pull the camera back a bit, we'll start to notice some interesting things. This rocky outcrop over here, that's not a rock, it's a massive spine. Also way over here, we'll find another copy of the player character floating here in mood lighting and surrounded by coloured squares. This little setup is actually used to take your character's portrait. And those squares are backgrounds used depending on which class and origin you have. There's a similar setup in Baldur's Gate 3 Tools, showing how they rendered the background placards for all the enemies in the game. Nearby we can also find this little multicoloured cube used for white balancing, making sure your character's image looks correct no matter the lighting. And this cube here is part of that calibration process. It also means your character canonically has a secret photo shoot happening in the void every time you level up. Alright, let's actually play the game a bit, shall we? The first level of the game is aboard a damaged Nautiloid screaming its way through Avernus. First off, the Nautiloid isn't actually moving at all. The environment around it is moving on a loop, appearing far ahead and disappearing once it's passed. This level's changed a lot since its early access versions. The entire path through the level is different than in the final game. Streamer Co-Carnage has some really great footage of this level in its early state. Most notably, the players travel down into the nose of the Nautiloid and have some combat featuring these snail-like bugs called Nautiloid cannons. This is followed by an entire cutscene that was cut where a red dragon breaks off the Nautiloid's nose platform thing. Exploring around the Nautiloid, we can see that the area for this battle still exists, so do the Nautiloid cannons. And while the tunnels that the player would normally take to get into the helm are there too, they're blocked off. In BG3 Tools, there's still tons of triggers all over the Nautiloid's front from this alternate intro. Another neat little thing is how they did model the ceilings of these locations, even though you can't normally see them. Jumping ahead, I wanted to take a moment to admire the abandoned temple in Grymforge, which is some of the most beautiful lighting and design in the game. High, arched ceilings, carved wall decorations, and tons of little details bring this environment to life. Though this one shot in the toolkit caught my eye and I spotted what looked like a checkerboard, so let's go see if it's in the game. Lo and behold, the ground under the water is completely untextured. And can you see it from the normal perspective? You bet your beanpole. It wouldn't be a Baldur's Gate video without including at least something from the city of Baldur's Gate itself. Because the FreeCam doesn't load the higher level details of buildings unless they're actually close to the player, moving the camera around can show a lot of what happens outside the player's view. These villages are amazing, just levitating everywhere they go. What a world of magic we live in. The city's got a lot of little details that are just lovely all over the place. Like here in Sorcerer's Sundries with its scattered scrolls and hidden tomes. And once again, they fully modded the ceiling and it's just gorgeous. I found a couple of the neat things in the Baldur's Gate tools, like this scene set up like a menu. Like the regular Baldur's Gate menu, it has an upper area and a lower area. This particular menu screen was used for the early access versions, though some mods have been able to re-enable it. And lastly, there's this file of a test map made by someone named Tom. It's got doors and stairs and other things, and was probably used for generally testing game mechanics and interactions. Thanks Tom, you're the best. There's also an old version of the menu screen, and it's got a player model that... what in the nine hells? Well, that's another couple of mysteries solved, so it's back to the pantry. If you want to see some extra things not found on YouTube, like the competent gentleman without centering, you know, if that's your thing, consider supporting me on Patreon too. There's more to explore as we dig deeper in the future, so don't forget to like and subscribe for more looks behind the scenes with your favourite talking can of beans. I'm Robbie Legume, thanks for watching.